They say the home is a sanctuary, the one place where the most vulnerable parts of our lives are shielded by the people we trust with our keys. But what happens when the professional hired to protect your legacy decides to claim it instead? This is RayReels, and today we are counting down the top 10 nanny and employer relationship movies that ended in absolute ruin. Starting the countdown at number 10, Devious Nanny, 2018. Elise and Brian have built a life of high-status comfort, a sanctuary that requires a perfect nanny to maintain its professional image. But when Brian enters a secret affair with the woman hired to protect their children, the sanctuary becomes a crime scene. The catalyst is the domestic breach. The affair isn't just a betrayal of a marriage, it is a professional liquidation. The nanny uses her intimate knowledge of the household to blackmail and manipulate the couple, turning their home into a cage they built themselves. The fallout is a masterclass in domestic arrest. As the obsession escalates, the family's social and professional standing is dismantled through a series of violent liquidations. What was once a stable household ends in total bankruptcy, both moral and physical. The RayReels verdict. When you give a stranger the keys to your home, you might just be handing over the deed to your own destruction. But if Devious Nanny represents the danger of desire within the house, our next entry shows what happens when grief becomes the open door. Number 9. The Girl in the Park, 2007. Julia is a successful professional living in a state of psychological arrest, her life frozen since her daughter vanished years ago. When she encounters Louise, a young drifter who mirrors everything she lost, she brings her into her private world as a surrogate assistant. The catalyst is the surrogate betrayal. Louise is a professional in the art of the con, using Julia's grief as a doorway to systematically drain her finances and her remaining sanity. The forbidden mother-daughter dynamic is weaponized against the very woman who created it. The fallout is a total reality collapse. Julia trades her professional composure for a lie, and when that lie fails, she is left in a state of absolute emotional bankruptcy, proving that some voids can never be filled by a stranger. The RayReels verdict. Grief is a vulnerable asset. Julia learned that hiring someone to fill a hole in your heart only makes the void deeper. If these domestic autopsies are hitting different, good. Drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Then hit subscribe so the next case file lands on your table before anyone else's. Now back to the ruin. At number 8, Poison Ivy, 1992. Ivy is a teenage drifter brought into a wealthy high society home as a companion to the daughter. She is a hired insider of a different kind, infiltrating the domestic hierarchy with one target in mind. The catalyst is the adolescent breach. Ivy seduces the father and systematically liquidates the mother's place in the household, using her presence to arrest the family's logic and moral standing from the inside out. The fallout is a masterclass in social liquidation. The mother is pushed out of her own life, while the father's reputation and soul are bankrupted by his obsession. The family structure doesn't just crack, it is permanently dissolved. The RayReels verdict. Poison Ivy is a reminder that some guests aren't just there for dinner. They're there to eat the host. The danger in Poison Ivy wore a teenager's face. Our next entry puts on a more professional mask. Number 7. The Nanny Diaries, 2007. Annie is a recent graduate working as a nanny for the elite X family in Manhattan, a household so sterile that the parents treat their child as a managed asset and their staff as disposable machinery. The catalyst is the executive entanglement. The man of the house attempts to use his professional authority to initiate a secret affair with Annie, a pursuit that acts as a wrecking ball to the family's carefully curated social facade. The fallout is a total social liquidation. As the affair and the mother's resentment collide, the family's stability is bankrupted. Annie's exit becomes a social autopsy of the elite, exposing the moral rot hiding behind their wealth. The RayReels verdict. Status is a fragile currency. The X family learned that you cannot manage a home like a hedge fund without eventually facing a total moral audit. The X family hid their ruin behind wealth and status. Our next entry hides it behind fiction. Number 6. Deadly Illusions, 2021. Mary Morrison is a novelist who hires Grace, a seemingly perfect nanny, to manage her household while she finishes her latest book. The arrangement is designed to create order. Instead, it creates a complete collapse of reality. The catalyst is the reality liquidation. Mary enters a secret erotic entanglement with Grace that dissolves the line between her professional fiction and her private life. The nanny uses Mary's desire to arrest her grip on truth entirely. The fallout is a masterclass in psychological ruin. As the affair spirals, the line between who is the boss and who is the victim disappears. Mary is left in a state of total mental bankruptcy, unable to trust her own story. The RayReels verdict. When you hire someone to watch your children, make sure they are not also watching for a way to steal your mind. Mary lost the ability to tell fact from fiction. Our next entry never had any fiction to begin with, just a cold, calculated plan from day one. Number 5. The Perfect Nanny, 2000. James is a widower who hires Andrea to help manage his home, searching for a domestic protector. What he unknowingly invites is a woman who has already liquidated her own identity to become his perfect match. The catalyst is the false identity breach. Andrea uses her professional standing to isolate James from his social circle, manufacturing a forbidden romance built entirely on obsession. She is not working for a paycheck. She is working to seize the household. The fallout is a total domestic arrest. As Andrea's past surfaces, the home turns into a prison. The family's safety is bankrupted as James realizes his employee was never an employee at all. She was a captor. The RayReels verdict. Perfection is the ultimate red flag. James hired a nanny and ended up with a life sentence. James handed his home to a stranger with no past. Our next entry handed theirs to an entire family. At number 4, Parasite, 2019. The Kim family are professionals in the art of survival, infiltrating the high-status park household one fake credential at a time, replacing the original staff and embedding themselves into the architecture of a life that was never theirs. The catalyst is the institutional infiltration. The Kims parasitically attach themselves to the Park family's wealth, constructing a web of professional lies over a class divide that the Parks never even noticed, because they never had to. The fallout is the absolute liquidation of both families. A single moment of exposure triggers a violent descent that leaves the Park household bankrupted by blood and the Kim family's future permanently arrested. There are no winners, only survivors. The RayReels verdict. Parasite isn't just about deception. It is about a system so tilted that survival itself becomes a crime. When the hierarchy finally collapses, it takes everyone down with it. 2 families destroyed by a system neither of them designed. Our next entry is one woman destroyed by a system she thought she could endure. Number 3, Nanny, 2022. Aisha is a Senegalese immigrant who takes a job as a nanny for a wealthy Upper East Side family in New York. A woman of quiet dignity trying to build a life in a city that was never designed for her. She is not chasing power. She is chasing her son, who she left behind in Senegal with the promise that she would send for him soon. The catalyst is the institutional exploitation. The family she works for is not monstrous in an obvious way. They are simply indifferent. They withhold her pay, extend her hours, and treat her presence as a convenience while her private world quietly collapses. The household doesn't use a weapon. It uses the slow, grinding weight of making someone feel invisible. The fallout is a psychological and spiritual bankruptcy. As Aisha's grip on reality begins to fracture, the film peels back the domestic arrangement to reveal what it always was, a power structure built on the assumption that some people's lives are worth less than others. By the end, the ruin is not loud. It is devastating precisely because of how quietly it arrived. The RayReels verdict. Aisha didn't come to this family looking for trouble. She came looking for a future. The family gave her neither, and the bill for that indifference came due in the most permanent way possible. Aisha's ruin came from being ignored. Our next entry came from being seen by exactly the wrong person. Number 2, The Housemaid, 2010. Uni is hired as a housemaid for a billionaire's family, a position of submission inside a high society fortress. She is there to manage domestic details. Instead, she becomes the target of the husband's predatory desire. The catalyst is the class autopsy. The forbidden affair triggers a cold-blooded internal war as the management of the household moves to liquidate Uni's dignity and her pregnancy to protect their social standing. She is not a person to them. She is a liability. The fallout is a brutal physical bankruptcy. The film ends with an act of self-liquidation that permanently stains the family's perfect life. Their wealth survives. Their humanity does not. The RayReels verdict. In the world of the ultra-rich, people are disposable assets. Uni proved that when you have nothing left to lose, you can still bankrupt the souls of those who think they own you. Uni had nothing and still found a way to leave a permanent mark. Our number one is about a woman who had everything taken from her and came back to collect every single cent. Number 1. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, 1992. Peyton Flanders is the ultimate hired nightmare. After her husband's life is liquidated by scandal, she assumes a false identity and infiltrates the home of Claire, the woman she holds responsible, with a single objective: total hostile takeover. The catalyst is the blueprint of infiltration. Peyton uses her professional standing to systematically dismantle Claire's relationships, alienating her from her husband, her children, and her own instincts. She manages the household with a clinical precision designed to erase the mother entirely. The fallout is a masterclass in domestic annihilation. This is a slow-motion autopsy of a family being dismantled from the inside, one layer at a time. By the time the truth surfaces, the sanctuary of the home has already been bankrupted beyond repair. The RayReels verdict: the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that holds the power. Peyton Flanders remains the gold standard for why you should never trust a stranger with the keys to your soul. The home is the most dangerous workplace in the world because the people you hire there don't clock out. They stay. They observe. They wait until the family forgets they were ever a stranger. Every film on this list began the same way, with a door opening and a choice that felt completely reasonable in the moment. The ruin was never loud. It was quiet, domestic, and already inside by the time anyone noticed. This is RayReels. Subscribe for more cinematic autopsies and never miss the next case file. Stay clinical.